state of the world is in a weird spot, but I think a couple episodes similar to you, Jordan, I mentioned that I'd been spinning What's Going On by Marvin Gaye a lot. That
Oh,
vinyl for me has probably been flipped 30 or 40 times in those 3 or 4 weeks. For some reason, I just keep playing it. It sounds so good. That's actually where my song of the week is going to come from. But just to give you a little bit more of an idea of what I've been listening to, TDE's Ray Vaughn dropped his album like 2, 3 days ago at the time of us recording this. I'm going to call him and like Dochi third generation TDE. Uh, they're just doing a great job developing their artists, developing the next wave of hip hop and just other genres as well. In that camp, really inspiring stuff. Really visceral, hard hitting gut punch of an album. Like he's just talking about the shit. Like he was going through it, really giving you some vivid details about growing up where he grew up. Who else have I been listening to? Let me take a quick sneak peek at my recents here. Usually I have this off the top of my head. Oh, Chance the rapper's Acid Rap was 12 years old yesterday, at the time of this
oh,
recording. That is like
even
a
better than I was the last
yeah,
time,
always,
baby. Ooh, ooh,
always.
ooh, ooh. I'm good.
I
So
have to cut in on that, Bill, just because when
yeah,
you
go
sent it
for
to
it, go
me,
for it.
I said this to you, and I'll stand by it. Not stand by it because it's just my opinion, but for me, as a someone who loves hip hop, that was definitely a formative
Hmm.
project for me, and like not because I was that young, right? Like I had been a big fan of hip hop for a long time by the time I he dropped that, but damn, that was so different and such a whole new take on how to do it, and he was so in his bag, like just to the
Yeah.
absolute maximum. I remember where I was the first time I listened to it. I was in Chicago, actually. Funny enough, I was in Bill's hometown, just outside Chicago, and somebody played it for me, and everyone was like, "All right, you want to go?" And I was like, "Nope, I'm gonna finish listening to this album. Like I'm gonna sit here until this is done because this is pretty amazing."
I'll
So
meet y'all there.
thanks for shouting that out. Yeah, I'll
Yeah,
meet you later. Literally, exactly. Yeah.
I
yeah.
had a similar experience with that album too. Like the sound was so different, the vibes were so different. His cadence and his voice, the combination of those two things were something that we had just never heard before. Like I absolutely love that. I still, if I'm on a long car ride, like if I'm driving back to Cleveland for the weekend, I'm throwing that on for sure.
Pusher
It's
Man, absolute iconic song. Come on.
It's a
Too good.
classic mixtape from the earlier phases of the blog era, which maybe we do
Yep.
another discussion on the blog era at some point. We did one on Hit Cycle Podcast, David and I. So go check that out if you just want to hear more people talk about music. But going back to Song of the Week, I alluded to it. What's going on? One of the most important and the best made albums in the history of music. Usually I try to uh, uh, make the scope a little bit more finite. There we go, by saying like the history of English music, because I don't speak other languages yet. But this one is
Yeah.
truly like in the history of music, one of the most important albums. The song is going to be the second one on the album after What's Going On, like the quintessential and the title track of the album. It's called What's Happening, Brother. And man, what I love about this record is that this is some of the most human writing from like a world-renowned celebrity that I think I've ever heard. Now I've heard the song a bunch of times, but over the course of just flipping this vinyl over and over, this one just keeps coming back and standing out, and I just keep it on repeat on the phone. A couple things that really stand out, and I'll get to mainly the songwriting, but from a sonic standpoint, the African drums kind of bubbling underneath the bass guitar, kind of bubbling underneath, or excuse me, yeah, bubbling underneath these like somewhat semi-haunting background singers who are really talking about kind of or personifying the feeling of the aches and pains and the turmoils of the time that we're very much seeing today. So obviously that album is timeless because these turmoils on a personal and a macro level are continuing for many, many people, which leads into the human dynamic that Marvin Gaye gives, where he's talking about, war is hell, when will it end, you know, but also relating it back to very everyday experiences. Like, hey, is it going to get better like the newspaper said? Is our ball club even going to win the pennant? And so you've got this like real juxtaposition of macro level thinking, but also that human interest and that human connectivity that really makes you feel like Marvin Gaye was actually a shoulder to shoulder citizen with some of the people that he was singing about or singing for or talking to. And on like a grander scale, this is such an important idea that your artistry has to be from a real, authentic place. Your artistry at all times has to be constructed with care and effort and from a real experience that you have had. I understand we're in a time where people write songs for each other and ghostwrite for, rappers and things and like. But if it doesn't have a real personal connection that you can feel like it's coming from some segment of your lived experience, it's going to ring hollow. And that's why we have a lot of fast food music, and that's why we have a very bloated musical ecosystem. And this is just a great crystallized reminder on like how much you can say while saying so little, and just talking about how war is terrible, or I can't find no work, can't find no job, or just talking about your local newspaper and who's going to win the pennant when baseball was, more of a factor 50 plus years ago. So what's happening, brother? Marvin Gaye, my song of the week on one of the most important and the greatest albums of all time. What's going on? So that's me in a nutshell this week, boys.
Bill, another home run by you. The Marvin Gaye "What's Going On" album. So I'm thinking about creating this podcast, and don't step on this idea, people, if you watch this. But I'm thinking about creating this podcast where I talk about the music and or movies that my parents made me watch or listen to. And that one is on the top of the list of some of the albums that my mom made me listen to as a kid. Like there were certain albums that she wanted to form the way I listened to music and the way I interpreted art. And that's one of the albums that she played for me as she was kind of trying to frame that. Like I absolutely love that album. That's a fantastic pick.